Hi, this is Jack Stanley, and I just wanted to talk about the American political scene at the moment. It's quite fascinating and historically remarkably interesting because we are seeing a repeat, in a sense, of what we saw in the early days of the Republic. Let's go back to the year of 1800. In 1800, the government was ending its days in Philadelphia, but let's just leave it in Philadelphia for the moment. And in Philadelphia, you had lots of people who were representing France and their government. You had lots of Federalists who were in power at the time, and they were very much against France. And you had lots of Republicans who were more or less for France. They didn't want a war, but they wanted to support France, and they were totally against England, whereas the Federalists seemed to be more aligned with England than with France. And there was a massive amount of infighting governmentally. There were riots, there were fights, there were murders, there was all kinds of political intrigue. And if you think about it, all the newspapers weren't telling you the news. No. They were telling you, who were in their bubble, what you wanted to hear. Does a lot of this sound familiar? Because right now, we're dealing with different things. We're not dealing with France, but we are dealing with great political controversy and a great deal of trouble in the world. And we have lots of people supporting, lots of people being against various issues, various ideas, various candidates, and various political philosophies. And all of this together on the internet, we have people that are within the bubbles of various news organizations that are feeding the information to the various groups who wish to be fed what they're seeing, not what the news may be it to the right or be it to the left. This is so familiar to the days of 1799, 1800, because in Philadelphia, you had newspapers called the Federalist, or you had the Republican, you had the Aurora, which was basically just tearing the Federalists apart, stating that George Washington was not the father of his country, that John Adams was a monarchist, and lots of other things that were problematic. And there were riots on both the right and the left. In fact, the Aurora's whole enterprise was attacked by a group of Federalists. And there were attacks on the Federalist organizations as well. So it was a fascinating period of time that eventually calmed itself. But I'm seeing a lot of that today, historically. Not exactly the same. I know there are lots of other things going on today that was not going on then. And I know there were different things dealing with race today that wasn't quite as important then. And I know there were issues of national interest today. I should say that are of national interest today than were back then. We have differences, but in a sense, there's a great deal of similarity. What do you think? I think it's kind of a fascinating way to look at it, because we do repeat ourselves historically, and we have done that since man has pretty much entered the scene. Thank you.